Hey guys, so for those of you who have been watching me for a while, you're probably thinking, why is he making a video about bars in New York City if he doesn't live in New York City anymore? But the reason is that I recently was looking into my analytics on YouTube and I saw that the first few videos I made are actually still the most successful ones that I have, meaning they get the most viewership, they get the most engagement and comments and stuff like that. So one of them was about gay dating apps, or dating apps for gay men, and another one was about gay dating in New York City. So I figured clearly the videos are a bit more like informative, I guess, rather than just like selfishly me talking about personal stories and hoping people care. That seems to engage people more than the personal stuff. So I thought it would be helpful to make a video about the best gay bars in New York City, especially for tourists or people who have just recently moved to New York City. There's so many gay bars that hopefully this is like your more personalized version or interactive version of Yelp, we'll say. So the cool thing about New York City, as I mentioned, is that there's so many gay bars. Really, like every neighborhood just about has at least one gay bar. Of course, some are better, much better than others. So I guess we'll go through all of them. I used to live in downtown Manhattan because I went to college there. I went to NYC. So that was like my first taste of the gay bar scene. In the West Village, which is known as, like a gay hub, the bars there, I would say, are more like historically famous gay bars. Like there's the Stonewall Bar or Stonewall Inn, which is, a historic bar at this point because of the Stonewall riots. There's a bunch there. There's Pieces, there's Stonewall, there's Monster. There's a bunch that are also like gay friendly, but they're not necessarily strictly gay bars. So like the Duplex is one of those. It'll come up in searches of gay bars, but it's not actually a gay bar, it's just gay friendly. I mean, all the bars really in the West Village and even in Manhattan, period, are gay friendly. There's a big gay community in New York City. The thing about the West Village gay bars is that they skew older. I think just because of the community of the West Village. The West Village is like, this artsy, bohemian neighborhood. Now it's very expensive to live there, but historically that's the culture. And because it's such an important part of gay history in New York City, it's just an older demographic, generally speaking. The East Village, on the other hand, is younger. And I think part of that is because of NYU being located there. NYU is located basically right between the West Village and the East Village, but the East Village in general has like this youthful vibe. There's a lot of bars and a lot of restaurants. So the East Village was once my favorite neighborhood of gay bars because you had Eastern Bloc, you had Boiler Room, you had Phoenix. Boiler Room is very, very college-y. A lot of like twinks and young guys, like college age, early 20s. It's a very low-key, like casual bar. So if you're into that, there's that one. Phoenix, I would say, is kind of like the cooler version of that bar, like the cooler college kids, more good-looking guys. It's a bit more posh, if I can even say that about a dive bar in New York City. And then there's Eastern Bloc, but Eastern Bloc doesn't exist anymore. But that bar, I have so many memories of being at that bar. And it's now actually been converted into like this artsy bar owned by Alan Cumming, if you guys know the actor. And I went there a few times. It just totally different crowd than what used to be at Eastern Bloc. Eastern Bloc used to be this grimy dive bar where there were a lot of hot guys of all kinds, of like the college type kids from NYU, and then there were like the bohemian, like East Village guys who are, artists and stuff like that. And then you had the sexy tattooed guys who live in the Lower East Side. I noticed probably 2-3 years ago that the vibe in the East Village just changed. It used to be my favorite neighborhood to go out in because I lived right there. I went to NYU and I had all these memories there. And the bars were always like packed on the weekends by like midnight, 1 a.m. But something changed, and I think the departure of Eastern Bloc is a sign of that. I just stopped having as much fun as I used to. And I think every neighborhood goes through its moment, and in New York City, it's famous that Chelsea used to be the gay neighborhood, and then now it's well known that Hell's Kitchen is the gay neighborhood. So I think it's natural for this evolution to take place, and sadly, the East Village, I think, got the short end of the stick. So Chelsea still has a few popular gay bars. The most popular bar, I'd say, in Chelsea is this bar called Barracuda. I would say that Barracuda is kind of like the slightly older version, the slightly more mature version of a blend of Phoenix and Boiler Room from the East Village. Like, it's late 20s, early 30s for the most part guys, young professionals in the city, and generally pretty easy, I would say, to talk to people there. It gets packed, so you kind of like sideswipe people all the time and bump into people, and it's easy to, I guess, just start chatting with someone. Infamous bar in the Chelsea neighborhood is called the Eagle. The Eagle is not for the faint of heart. The Eagle is like a leather bar. That doesn't mean that everybody is dressed up in leather. I've never been dressed in leather there. A lot of guys will just walk around shirtless, and it gets kind of seedy around like 2 or 3 in the morning. There's guys in the corners just doing sexual stuff. But there's also then like 2 feet to that, just normal guys just hanging out as they would in any bar and just chatting. It's a weird bar in that it's almost like 2 different bars. It's like a naughty bar, and then it's also just like a very casual, low-key bar. A lot of men like going to that bar because they don't feel judged there. There's a lot of men there who are bears. They're more overweight, not necessarily in shape. It's a much, much older demographic, like 40s, 50s, I'd say even 60s. When I've always been one of the only guys around that age. But Hell's Kitchen is really the mecca of gay bars in New York City. So, Hell's Kitchen, I'd say there's gotta be at least 8 bars within like a 5 to 10 block radius. There's Boxers, there's Therapy, there's Industry, there's Hardware, all these like cool trendy names. There's another one, I think Barrage, there's Rise, there's a bunch of others, Vodka Soda, Bottoms Up, a ton of bars. And the nice thing is that they're conveniently located near each other. There's one street where there's gotta be like 4 gay bars on that street. So if you're just visiting or you're looking to be where all the gay guys are, I would say Hell's Kitchen is where you should go. A lot of people don't like the Hell's Kitchen bars because it's like the epitome of the gay scene. They feel that it's more pretentious. I haven't necessarily had that experience, but you can definitely tell when you go that it's the crop of men in New York City who are probably a bit wealthier, definitely a lot of yuppies. People are dressed nicer. But I would say that that's also a reflection of the bars themselves. Like Therapy as a venue is a really nice bar. A few of the other bars there are also more polished than, let's say, the dive bars in the East Village or even the dive bars in the West Village. So it's not for everybody, but I would say that towards the end of my time in New York City, Hell's Kitchen ended up being where I would go the most because that's just where the most attractive guys were, and guys around my age, and a lot of them. And the bars there were always reliably populated on weekend nights. Whereas, as I said, the East Village, towards the end of my time living in New York City, some of the bars just like wouldn't fill up on the weekends without any explanation. So there's definitely been this like migration of gay men to Hell's Kitchen. A lot of them either work around there or they live around there. So of course, after work hours, it's kind of like the ideal place business-wise to cater to gay men. If you've been to New York City or you've lived in New York City, I would love to hear your feedback on which bars you liked. If you disagree with any of the ones that I talked about, or you think I missed any, let me know in the comments.
Da 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 da.